So Eric Clapton has come out with a video and an interview explaining that the vaccine disease is not real, and the vaccine is created by hypnosis embedded in YouTube videos, and now he can see it. And he says that for some reason his kids and his friends all think he's nuts, and he can't imagine why that is. But anyway, he's got this apparently is a conspiracy theory that's promulgated by Joe Rogan, who seems to be at the center of most of the current anti-vax hysteria. A lot of people are getting mad at him, but he's the number one podcaster in the world. He's worth a lot of money. A lot of people love what he does, even though a bunch of people are getting mad at it. And in the same spirit, we've got anti-Semitic stuff that's been showing up at cities all over the country, including in San Francisco now, in Pacific Heights. They're laying out this flyer in bags with rice or rocks or something to weight it. And it says, that the news media is all controlled by Jews and typical other Nazi stuff. So in case anybody thought that we were not included in America's rise of the right, it's here in San Francisco too. The Grand Dragon of the KKK was in Richmond, a few miles from San Francisco, a couple of decades ago. We're not excluded from this stuff. And so everybody thinks there will be war in Ukraine very soon. And the Department of Homeland Security has warned that Russia may be expected to perform another cyber attack on the United States, which I must say, I'm very baffled, because last week Russia actually arrested two of the major criminal gangs that have been hacking the U.S. in Russia, which Putin had said for decades he would not do because he regards anybody hacking America from inside Russia as not breaking any Russian laws. But he changed his mind and arrested him a few days ago, and I don't know what the point of that was, except as some kind of sort of backwards threat that he could, resume the attacks. But the DHS is warning there more attacks are coming. And I think it's this one. Yeah, this is Nicole Perl-Roth, who is a real expert in cyber war and wrote a book about it. And she points out this fellow, who I don't really know, the director of threat intelligence at Cisco. Anyway, so he explains what's going on when they tell us that we're going to get attacks from Russia. What he's telling us is that they will try to apply pressure on the Biden administration to not punish them for an incursion on Ukraine with things like the Colonial Pipeline attack. And that is, of course, the point. They can engage in cyber attacks, which, while they may not permanently shut things down and they may not directly kill people, they can just make political trouble for Biden, which is what he's threatening Putin with, really. He'd give them sanctions which will make political trouble for him. And you can always expect more disinformation, like what seems to be at the moment, that Fox News and the entire Republican Party is now 100% under control of Putin and pro-Putin and saying Putin's a great guy and we should just be letting him invade Ukraine, which is a very surprising place for the Republican Party to be. I'm old enough to remember Ronald Reagan, whose entire mission in life was to fight Russia. And that led him to the top of the Republican Party. But under Trump, they've completely reversed to the other side of it. But anyway, they can attack supply chains and attack us indirectly. And if they just want to harm Biden to get even with him, we are very vulnerable. So anyway, this one was pretty interesting. OpenC makes NFTs, these souvenirs, artistic souvenirs you can buy. And the whole point about them is there's currently a big trend to buy them, so the price is going up and up. So you can buy some silly little cartoon of an ape and a few days later sell it for more than you bought it for in many cases. So people are doing that, but if you go on their website, you will see the current price. But if you go with direct signals to the web server through their API, the way an app would, you can request earlier prices and get it. So someone found he could just buy something at its original price, which was cheaper, and then sell it right away at the current price and managed to make a pile of money, almost $1 million that way. So that's a pretty severe cyber attack and a security flaw in their network. And a surgeon took a X-ray picture of a real victim who had been shot with a weapon in a big famous terrorist attack, and then sold it as an NFT without the permission of the patient, and got caught, and is now being sanctioned for unprofessional medical behavior where you're compromising patient privacy. And this is, of course, one big thing about NFTs. You can take a digital copy of any image and sell it as an NFT, and a bunch of people are just copying other people's art and selling it because the brokers like OpenC are not bothering to verify who owns something before they put it up. It's just an automatic process. There's a kernel exploit in the Linux kernel, and this means that Kubernetes containers can be broken out of. Kubernetes containers are all everywhere. Their containers are like virtual machines, except they're smaller and faster, and Kubernetes is a software platform to deploy a lot of containers fast, so almost all major websites are now inside Kubernetes containers, but the warning has been, right from the beginning, that Kubernetes containers are cheaper and faster, but they are less secure. There's not very much separation between the virtual machine and the host machine, and there are container escape attacks every now and then, and this is the latest one. So again, people have to patch their Kubernetes machines, or people can hack into a container and then escape to the host platform. The kind of thing happens with shared web hosting too. GoDaddy and other people that host thousands of websites, there have been quite a lot of attacks where one website gets compromised and they escape to the host, and then they can compromise other websites on the same server. Although I haven't heard of one of them in a few years. So a lot of people are mad at Bitcoin because it uses a lot of electricity, and Ethereum also uses a lot of electricity, and it's the basis of all NFTs, but there is a more efficient blockchain called Solana, which is a proof of authority and a proof of stake blockchain, so it does not waste as much electricity at all, but it keeps on going down. It doesn't seem to be resistant to denial of service attacks. And they had yet another outage, and people are beginning to get fed up with it. The whole point of the blockchain, it's supposed to be distributed across many servers and impossible to bring down with cyber attack, and Solana is less distributed, and it does go down. Ethereum is not proof of stake. Ethereum is still proof of work, just like Bitcoin. However, Ethereum is planning to switch to proof of stake later this year. So by the end of the year, presumably, Ethereum will no longer consume so much electricity, and that'll be one big advantage over Bitcoin, which is why the general belief in the cryptocurrency community is that there will be the flippening. Right now, Bitcoin is the #1 cryptocurrency by total market share, but we expect Ethereum to win and take over and cause Bitcoin to become obsolete, and that is projected to happen this year or next year, the flippening, when the total amount of money in Ethereum is bigger than the total amount of money in Bitcoin. Ethereum has added a proof-of-stake option to their platform, and it has been running in parallel to the currently used proof-of-work system. But they never trusted it enough yet. It's been testing for like a couple of years. But now they've declared it's been tested enough, and later this year there's going to be an official switch where they turn off the proof-of-work and switch to proof-of-stake. And when they do, the electricity consumption will go way down. The difference being, for people who don't know, in proof-of-work, all the miners in the world compete to mine each block, so they're all just running as fast as they can at all time. In proof of stake, you just put up some money as a guarantee that you won't cheat, and then they just sort of pick some random number of machines to verify the next block. So you don't have like millions of people trying to verify a block, you have a small number of people verifying a block, and they're sort of randomly distributed. So it does not mean that so many people have to duplicate the same work, which is why all the electricity gets wasted. And so right now, 46% of Bitcoin mining supposedly is currently done with sustainable energy, which is more than I thought. So it is not creating quite as much harm to the planet as you might think, but it's still an awful lot of harm. People say it's consuming something like 1% of the electricity in the entire world is being spent on Bitcoin mining, and arguably that's a waste, because if they just used proof of stake, they could cut that by at least a factor of 100. And that's what Ethereum's going to do. There are currently no plans to switch Bitcoin to proof of stake, but perhaps if Ethereum does, there may be some pressure to switch Bitcoin to it also. So Amazon can let you see all the data they have on you, and someone did it, and it's kind of amazing. If you download it, they will give you the exact audio files of every time you spoke to Alexa. So if you have one of these smart speakers in your house, it really is recording and preserving the audio of everything it hears. Even ones when you didn't really speak Alexa, apparently. I guess when it mistakenly thought you did or something. So, a lot of people are worried about the privacy consequences of those smart speakers, and I guess they're right. Yeah, wiretap. All right, let me stop this one.